Hey everyone, Michael O'Brien here, and today we're going to be talking about how to perform for people with disabilities. Hello my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Advice for Magicians, where my job is to make you the best possible entertainers that you can be. Now, for those of you who do not know, I work at the magic shop at Disneyland, and every day I perform for hundreds of people from all sorts of walks of life, from all over the world. And the other day, someone came in a wheelchair. I'm not talking about the little wheelchairs that they push you in at the hospital when you break your leg. I'm talking about a full-on, big old, gigantic, with the joystick, weighs like 5,000 pounds wheelchair, right? So the guest in the wheelchair was clearly immobile. Now, I took this opportunity to perform something special for them, and I just asked them a simple question: do you want to help me? And the guest looked completely shocked. And at first I was like, is that okay? And he said something that completely broke my heart. And that is, yes, I would love to. No one ever picks me to volunteer for anything. And I thought that was just so wrong, and I get it. It can be awkward performing for someone that doesn't look like they'll be able to really help you. Maybe they don't have use of their arms. Maybe you are trying to talk to them and they're just staring blankly at you and not responding, maybe because they're not able to, right? And this could be a little scary. So what I decided to do is I decided to give you guys some advice on how to deal with this. Now, I don't want you guys to listen to me, okay? I brought along an expert, someone that has been doing this for over 10 years, and in my opinion, probably the best at doing this in the entire world. I'm talking, of course, about my good friend from the Magic Touch, JJ Lucia-Wright. He is an amazing person, all-around nice guy, and he has dedicated his entire magic career to being able to perform for people with disabilities. JJ is awesome. On top of being an excellent performer, he's also a great artist. He made this for me. I don't know if you guys, hopefully you can see this there. A little painting of me doing my Fool Us performance for Penn Teller. But he's just an all-around great guy, and I thought that it would be more beneficial for all of you to listen to the actual expert talk about these things. Now, I encourage you to stick around until the end. I'm going to give you guys a little bit more details about JJ, where you can find him and all that stuff. The video itself is going to go on for about another 20 minutes. Please, I encourage you guys to watch this because this is very, very important, not just for professional workers, but I feel like everyone that is performing for the general public should watch this video, because there is going to be times where you're out there performing and there are going to be guests with disabilities. And I think that it is so important to be as inclusive as possible and not just perform for all of the abled individuals, but to perform for those that maybe don't often get asked to be volunteers. They don't get asked to come forward. The magician doesn't feel comfortable putting objects in their hands or having them be the ones to do the magic move. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please give a nice warm welcome to JJ.
Hello, and thank you for watching. My name is JJ. For those of you that don't know me, I run a small, very small charity. And under that umbrella, that charity umbrella, is a part of that is something I do called Magic Touch, which is basically enabling access to the world of magic for disabled people and adults with learning difficulties. I've got a bit of a rundown so I don't forget my train of thought. Basically, for those of you that don't know me, in the beginning I was a children's entertainer for 14 years at the holiday parks. Then I saw the film Patch Adams, which made me want to work more with people. So I started working for a charity in 2003, based in Peterborough, which is where I am now. And that charity was called Deafblind UK, and that was with people who are deafblind. So they're not deaf or blind, they're both. So they can't see and they can't hear, both together, which I wasn't overly aware of when I started. After being there for about 2-3 weeks, I realised that there is very little quality of life. there was no fun. It was always hospital appointments or doctor's appointments or something to do with their health. There was no silliness, there was no enjoyment really. It was just, living. And it wasn't, it was sad really. So that then got me started how I could adapt what I used to do, the children's entertainer stuff, what I could take from that and adapt it, enable so it could be accessed by these people that can't see or can't hear. I learnt the sign language. Obviously there's a special kind of sign language that you do on one hand where every word is spelt out. That's fine. That wasn't a problem. But it was adapting, obviously, how I perform the magic, how they access it. I want them to be able to feel stuff. Else they're not experiencing it otherwise. I'm just telling them. So I want them to feel the magic, really. Else I might as well not be there. So yeah, that started back to my notes, about 2003. The first trick I adapted was Vanishing Silk. So bearing in mind all the people that I worked with back then had no sight and no hearing. Some of them had hearing aids, which was basically for environmental noises. So they'd hear traffic, babies crying, high heels on a wooden floor, farts, burps. But they'd know I was talking, but they wouldn't know what I was saying. So there was no speech. So basically it was for deafblind people in the future when I went abroad and did shows and I couldn't communicate with them, it was all about the magic, which for me, even when I can talk to them, is what it's all about. It's why I do this, because of the magic and the reaction that magic causes. I am not the greatest magician in the world, but I allow access to this stuff, which I don't know if anyone else does. So the first trick I adapted, like I said, was the Vanishing Silk, which is done in the same way, but say they're blind, I would sit opposite them. Their hands would be on my hands here, thumb here. Okay, so you do all the business with the silk. They could feel that going in. You could use their finger to push the silk in, but squeeze, because if you squeeze, they're going to feel your hand and not so much what's underneath. Bearing in mind their hands are on your hands still, so they push in. Okay, and then for the vanish, I just wiped hands. So their hands on my hands, wiped thumb down here with the loading, so they're not feeling the thumb. Beforehand, if you want to get technical, if they're visually impaired, I would spray it with a smell. So when it comes out my mouth, so I do that. I wipe the hands free. I then put both their hands on my head, bring them down, and then it comes out my mouth. Then they can pull it out my mouth and smell the smell is the same as what it was when we put it in here. So that was the first thing I adapted. And I did that. I've done that lots of times with different blind people from all over the world. People that I can't communicate with, like I said, and it's all about the magic, and it works every time. So since then, I've done a tour for Sense, using disabled people with disabilities as my assistants. So at the moment I'm with Jonathan, and Jonathan has got cerebral palsy. And after when I started working at Deafblind UK, obviously that was a big struggle because of adapting and changing magic so it could be accessed. And once I started doing that, I started to regret it. But now it's a walk in the park, because it's what I've done for the last 15 years. And I thought that working with Jonathan, who has cerebral palsy, would be easier, but it's not. It's just a different array of problems. With Jimmy, who I used to perform with, who's deafblind, he was a right showman. Obviously, he knew how the tricks worked, but he didn't care. He just wanted to be in front of everyone, messing about, doing his stuff. So he would be my assistant, and he would help. I would do most of the tricks with his help. He did some on his own without me assisting him, but everything we did, I made sure it would be a trick that he could access. So no card stuff, waste of time. Things like nails through matchbox, needle through balloon, stuff with a change bag. I've got a list here which I will go through later. With Jonathan, different kettle of fish, simplified tricks, so he will help me again, but there will be, I break it down to single movements. So things like, oh, sorry, I've got a dog. Things like, if I did change bag, he would lift and put the lid down. Be going, dolls. That's it, good girl. Just simplify it so he's included. So he's not just sat there while I get on with it. He's doing something. He's holding the wand. He's pulling the silk out the bag. He's doing something. So we do shows all over, really, wherever we're dragged to. Because a big part of what we do is inclusion. Everything we do is free. I don't charge. Jonathan don't charge. Well, not that I know of. We don't charge. We do schools, conferences, clubs, disability clubs, local, near, far, wherever, whatever we can get to. Why do we do it? We do it because we love magic. I love magic. Jonathan, I know, loves magic, and so does Jimmy. Jimmy loves the showmanship. There are many health related reasons why it's good for disabled people to do magic, and I'm sure David Copperfield will tell you all about that in his Project Magic, which is fine. But these guys are purely doing it because they love magic. The same reason most magicians do it, because they love it. They love performing it and they love the reactions. They love the socialising. Everything that they can get from it is magic. That's really cheesy, isn't it? Sorry, I do apologise. What? So we perform free shows for disability clubs, schools, me and an assistant, or it may be, depending on who the magic is for. I do a lot of one-to-ones with different disabilities, some very severe, in coffee shops. We meet up with coffee shops. I take a bag of stuff along, trial and error. And it's always trial and error. You might get a response, you might not get a response, but that doesn't mean to say that it's not made a difference. Sometimes a lot of people I work with have got no speech, so it's all in their eyes. Sometimes they will get something from it that you won't expect them to get from it. I've done a lot of magic with silks and they've not actually clicked what the magic was that I did, but they like the feel of the silk, so I end up just sat there stroking it on their face, and that's fine. You know, they're not worried that I just pulled a 25-foot silk ribbon out of that wasn't impressive, but they like the feel of it, and if that's what they get from it, then fine. That's what I will give them. Rules I do break rules. If I'm doing a show and there's a lot of blind people there and a lot of deaf-blind people, in theory, they should be being told what's going on. That's fine, but that's not the same as feeling it and experiencing it. So I will go round to everyone who is visually impaired and do as many of the tricks that I can with them touching it. So I normally do the show so it's everything I do I know will work with a hands-on approach. That way they're not left out. I went to see quite a known magician a few weeks ago, and there was a blind lady sat in the audience, and it really annoyed me and made me quite sad that he didn't approach her or nothing. So she might have, well, I'm guessing she was told what went on. Her husband was with her, but she sat there all the way through and got really nothing from it. And I don't even expect that he knew that she was there or that she was visually impaired, but it still sort of annoyed me. All it would take is, you know, Vanishing Silk or something, just a bit of couple of minutes with them to include them. And it's not difficult. I think initially it is, because we're scared. I was, to start with. You're scared to approach, you're scared of being PC, you're scared of, am I going to get hurt? Am I going to get run over by a wheelchair? Am I going to, you know, so it's easier to go, nah, I'll just ask that fat woman from Swaffham. It's easier to do that. But now I work the other way around now. If there's disabled people, I will play to them. Stuff everybody else. They can go and get magic elsewhere. Whereas disabled people, 9.5 out of 10 times will never be included in a magic show because it's just the nature of the beast. They might do, I might be wrong, but a lot of the times, you know, people don't call them up, or because there's a lot of risk and people are scared. Right. Tips. Apparently I'm going to give you some tips. Right. Keep tricks simple. So if you know there's going to be disabled people, don't bother with technical stuff. Or I've got, now where is it here? So the things that work, basically, it's got to be sort of black and white, not like a 2-hour story and then a wallop at the end, and then you're going to lose them. Card stuff, no. They forget the suits, they forget what their card was. There's not a lot that they can join in if you want them to handle it. They don't have to be visually impaired to want to touch stuff. So if there is a disability, some disabilities might instantly reach for what you've got hold of. So be prepared for that. But it helps them. It helps them to get involved. So I've got things like a production, a vanish, a penetration, restoration, a transformation, transportation, and an appearance. All of them work. If you're going to use something for any of them, use something that's familiar. If I don't do any coin stuff, because working a lot with visually impaired, if the coins are gimmicked, they will feel them. They will notice the weight change. So I don't do any coin stuff. Anyway, I'm not that clever. But if I was doing coin stuff, I wouldn't use dollars. Why would I have a dollar? So, and they wouldn't know what it is. So I use stuff preferably that they're going to recognise. Right, trailing back. This is supposed to be 10 minutes, Michael. See, once I get started, I tend to waffle. Right, so some disabilities may not be visual. Some may be visual. So some you'll be able to tell straight away that they're disabled. Others, you won't know. You will have no way at all of knowing what understanding they have. You may not even be able to tell from their reaction that they have noticed, really, or understood what they've just seen. Don't expect a normal reaction, as it was. Don't expect the reaction you would expect, because you probably won't get it. And that way, if you don't expect it, then you won't be disappointed if there's no reaction, because there might not be a reaction. But this doesn't mean that they've not enjoyed it. They just access stuff differently. You might do a trick, they click what you've done, they laugh, wow, brilliant. They might not. They might just sit there and stare at you, or make noises, or throw something. But that doesn't mean that it's not worked. I never do card tricks. There's too much on the line that can go wrong. Forgetting the card, forgetting the suite. I use the Vanishing Silk a lot with visually impaired. It's an easy thing you can have in your pocket. All this panic about what shall I do, what shall I do. It's that works every time. Keep it simple. Doesn't have to be technical. I've said that. too much going on will destroy the magic. You just want to get straight to the point. Showing something, make it disappear. I've got to use familiar objects. Don't do predictions. They don't really get predictions. It's a bit of a big word, and then you've got to explain it. And following tricks work really well. Like I said, production, vanish, penetration, restoration. So what's in your bag, JJ? I've also got here, if you do any stuff with visually impaired, they feel what the audience sees. Obviously, they don't feel everything. You don't want them to feel everything. Change bag, you can do a 6-hour show with a change bag and a blind man. But you control their hand when it goes in, because their hand will feel the other pocket. They will feel through. So if you can guide the hand in to where the object is and then guide the hand out. Depending on the disabled person, I've done sponge balls and they've known how many I've put into their hand before they've opened their hand, because they can feel the change of coins, the weight in the coins. If it's a shell with something in it, some will know, some won't, but you can't research that. You can't know that. Are you back, dude? Are you come to do a talk with Daddy? So you want something that's going to be, you're going to be sure of, that it's going to not be a bit iffy. And there's a lot of stuff that can be like that. So if I'm doing a room full of blind people, vanishing silk, and I would do that to each individual, hands-on, so they can all experience magic. They felt magic. I've not done a card trick and told them what's happening. That's not experiencing magic. I've done 20 blind people round the appearing ladder, and yes, they felt the ladder. Yes, they know it wasn't real, but the magic was, how did something that big come out of a bag that small? So there was still magic there, but yes, they did feel it. They helped pull it out the bag, all of them. They all had their hands on it and lifted it up. Now it's through block. Lolly Hero, that works. I've done that with blind people. Pom-pom stick, that can be continuous touch all the way through. They can feel the pom-poms, break it apart. They can feel the middle. I do dove pan, but I do with a small bra, and then at the end it's got a massive big bra in it. That, you know, they can control that. They can put the lid, they can feel what's in it, they can put the lid on, they can take the lid off. Linking polos in a change bag. Change bag is a winner. Knitted loops, so they're linked, then they're all one big loop. And sponge balls, obviously, when I started doing this, all I got at Blackpool, have you done sponge balls? Have you done, oh, bloody sponge balls. And yes, sponge balls do work, but I tend not to do them now because I got so sick of it. It's like there must be something else there, and there's tons. But in the beginning, the people that did suggest things and didn't tell me to pee off, you're going around the loop, basically said, oh, sponge balls is good with blind people. Yeah, there must be more than that. There must be, and there is. You can do anything. It's just how you let them access it. Right, a couple of tips. Not all blind people read Braille, and if they do, the American Braille bicycle cards, the Braille is different on the American cards, which is bicycle. It's different to English, so bit of information there. So don't be surprised if you're using a bicycle deck and they can't read it, because the Braille will be different. And once again, not all blind people read Braille. Some people have read it all their life and the sense has gone on their fingers and now they can't. So I don't bother with cards. I've got card tricks that I do for me because I like them, and for other guys, but visually impaired people and a lot of learning disabilities, no. If I do the dippy duck, the pecky duck thing, I use an alphabet deck, A, B, C, D, E, I use that. Or bicycle cards that have got Harry Potter or Spider-Man on. Apparently, Michael's going to put up a fundraising link. We do the trip every year. This is, people mostly know me for begging for free stuff and asking for money. I'm a bit like a potato-headed Bob Geldof. Basically, we take a group of disabled people to Blackpool each year. There's been a massive cock-up this year with the fundraising where Just Giving, I think, wiped everything that we did, and we had loads of money and then it all got wiped and everyone got a refund, and now it's not looking good. So if you can help, £1, £5, tenner, 20 quid, whatever, it all helps. There's about 6 of us that go, and the guys get so much from it because everything's there. So I can tell them about stuff, then I can hands-on show them stuff, which is brilliant. Right, I've got a deep and meaningful bit at the end. I think I've done 20 minutes. You're going to have to cut this, mate. Sorry. Right, I'm not a great magician. I'm not a technical magician. But I've got the gift to make the difference, which to me is why I do it, because I can make a difference. It's not about pinky breaks and double lifts. It's about making a moment and creating a connection, which I think is what it should be about. And will always be about for me, which is why I do what I do. Everything I've got is self-working. I'm not technical at all, but I'm like Gandalf. And for the reaction that I get, I don't need to be flipping cars behind my back and everything else. I'm fine with it. I've been given a power thanks to the world of magic. And these powers live on in people's memories and makes a difference. So don't forget that, guys, when you're performing, that's the root of it. Okay, well, I hope that was slightly helpful. I probably waffled, and the dog's gone to sleep, and I think she's farted, which is quite nice. So I'll leave you to Google whatever you're doing and relax.
JJ, thank you so much for being on the channel, buddy. I really, really appreciate it. You did not waffle, my friend. You did absolutely brilliant. I think there's a lot of valuable nuggets of information in there. I really hope all of you got something out of this. If you guys would like to know more about JJ, more about the magic touch in general, there's a list of links in the description below, different things that you guys can check out. I have this pamphlet here. There's all kinds of cool stuff on this. I mean, there is sign language. It's called hand signing, where this is for signing for someone that is both deaf and blind. You actually touch the different parts of their hand to talk to them. It is so cool. I didn't even know that that was a real thing, you know? Just all kinds of different information here. I'm going to leave some of this information for you guys in the description below. Again, please check it out. JJ, again, thank you so much for being here. Until next time, everyone, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.